I don't know how it happened, but the thought just randomly popped into my head, and I was wondering if the Pokemon Company should release an official randomizer for either a newer Pokemon game or an already existing Pokemon game. Now, this video is mostly going to be like a devil's advocate, major discussion about all of the aspects about what could happen with an official Pokemon Sun and Moon randomizer, but I think the biggest part of this video is going to be the discussion. I want you guys to talk in the comment section down below, because I feel like it's going to be an overwhelming yes. That so many people love randomizers, mostly because a lot of YouTubers make randomizers since it is fresh content. Like, I love the idea of a randomizer just because it's like putting sandbox gameplay into Pokemon. The one thing that Pokemon is missing is like major sandbox gameplay, major open world gameplay. It's the reason why Pixelmon does so well, it's the reason why a lot of the fan games so well, is because they expand it beyond a lot of what Game Freak ends up putting into Pokemon, and also like the Pokemon Online MMOs and anything like that. So there's so much potential that we have hundreds of different Pokemon, we have an insane amount of moves, we have different move and type combos, we also have abilities. It gets absolutely ridiculous, and it seems like the Pokemon Company should be able to do it fairly easily, because if there could be a third-party hacker for like ROMs and ROM hacks and all kinds of, you know, emulation and stuff, if that can be done by someone in their spare time, then Game Freak could be able to implement an official one, and it's pretty simple. And that could also be where the issue comes into play. I could see a lot of people being against an official randomizer because they'd just say, well, Game Freak would screw it up anyways, much like they did with the Battle Royal or something like that. However, it is pretty simple, like Pokemon-based stats. I don't even know if this would be randomized for like an official randomizer, because like you could just do the basics and still have fun, and then everyone would feel good about it because they're not playing something Nintendo doesn't like. Nintendo is against ROMs, they're against emulation even if you own the game. This is like on the Nintendo website in their terms of service. And also with more recent Pokemon games, we start getting into piracy and theft, and people really don't like that, because when we look at things like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, X and Y, and Pokemon Sun and Moon, for those randomizers to perform optimally, you need a modded 3DS, and we know that Nintendo does not want you homebrewing and then stealing games, because X and Y, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Sun and Moon, these games are still selling copies, and Sun and Moon had one of the biggest piracy issues ever because the game was data mined and everything 8 days before it was even released. Like, that CFW was available, so there was absurd amounts of game piracy. There was like a huge spike in people homebrewing their 3DS. Now, I'm not saying that by releasing a randomizer, it's going to cut down on the insane amounts of piracy and ROMs and ROM hacks and stuff like that, but it shows that the Pokemon Company could do it, and maybe one of the reasons why I started thinking about this is because of the No Lines mod. That the No Lines mod is inside of Pokemon Sun and Moon, and again with data miners and hackers and people already modding the game, the Pokemon Sun and Moon demo was data mined and was actually able to create the No Lines mod from the trailer. So in the Pokemon Sun and Moon demo, we actually get like a little bit of a trailer of Pokemon Sun and Moon, and also the title screen. The little intro that plays on the title screen shows you brief clips of the No Lines mod. That's because it looks amazing. This is insane promotional material, and one thing I really want in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is the No Lines mod. I actually did a video talking about what things I'd like to see in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, and the No Lines mod just makes the game really good. That's why it was used as promotional material. So it seems like it is within Game Freak's power to just have an option, turn on No Lines mod, yes. Well, they could maybe do the same with a randomizer as well, and then that means you're avoiding all of that dubious stuff about ROM hacks and piracy and having illegally modified stuff. Also, 3DS emulation is sketchier and more difficult than like the other games and stuff, but it feels like a lot of people, they want to do randomizers, but they're also held back for many different reasons. They don't want to download all of this weird stuff and then take the steps and then have to make it work, because it does take a lot of work when instead it could just be in the game, click a couple buttons, and now we're started up with an official Pokemon game and stuff like that. And I'm also wondering how many people that refuse to do a randomizer because they don't want to do anything sketchy like that. You know, it's like, okay, I would like to do a randomizer, but at the same time, it is against the rules. You know, Nintendo doesn't want us doing that. But also, I want to see if there's anyone that just thinks randomizers are the dumbest thing ever. I wonder if those people actually exist, because like you see all of this blow up. You see all of the support for randomizers, but at the same time, I know there's people that hate Nuzlockes. I think Nuzlockes are stupid, but at the same time, I can understand why randomizers are cool. So I'm wondering if there's someone that thinks it's unnecessary. You know, the gameplay, even though you could get like a shiny legendary, or you could encounter a shiny legendary and get completely bodied, it just isn't true enough to Pokemon. You know, maybe there's someone out there that's just a complete purist that doesn't like the idea of a randomizer at all, but also that could maybe show that maybe the people watching randomizers are the only people that care about randomizers. So maybe it is just 100,000 or 200,000 Pokemon fans in an audience of tens of millions when it comes to sales. So maybe making a standalone randomizer game from the Pokemon Company, even though it wouldn't really cost a lot of resources, like they wouldn't have to make a new Pokemon game just to do randomizer. They would just have to do whatever modifications to make this accessible, and then that's kind of it. So effectively, it is free money if they want to do it, but then that puts Nintendo and the Pokemon Company in a really awkward situation, because now they have to acknowledge it. Now they have to acknowledge all the game modification, they have to acknowledge the ROMs, they have to acknowledge that this is something that existed and that is a pretty big issue. A big enough issue to where they have to release an official version of it, and that could get pretty bad as well. So I don't know, it seems like there's a lot of reasons why Nintendo wouldn't want to do it, but also to cut down on the amount of people using ROMs and pirated games. But there's also reasons to do it as well. So I guess the question comes down to if the core audience actually cares enough. I'm actually anticipating that since a lot of people love Let's Plays, they love randomizers, they love Nuzlockes, they love all these YouTubers that are doing like crazy kind of fan games and all these extra series, that people just would love the idea of having a randomizer inside of Pokemon. Or maybe that's what makes it special. Just having this experience be out of the way is why people like it so much. If it became commonplace inside of Pokemon, then maybe it'd just be like this okay thing that people wouldn't really care as much about. But the replay value is definitely something that has a lot of value when considering a randomizer inside of Pokemon games. So I really want you guys' thoughts on that. Like, it could be as simple as just setting the difficulty and having multiple save files. Like, we have one silly file for all of your randomizer and whatever. Like, they could add in whatever other mods and silliness they want to in this, like, thing that shouldn't be able to interact with other Pokemon games. And then everyone can have their, like, legit save file as well. Like, what if a randomizer could also set, like, absurd amounts of difficulty and maybe also have programmable Nuzlocke rules? You know, it seems like the ultimate fan game, but the reason why fan games exist is because there is some kind of demand out there. That people are doing this not for profit in their own spare time, learning how to make a fan Pokemon game when the Game Freak already has all these tools at their disposal, and then they could just kind of set it up in an official Pokemon game anyways. So it seems like this just gets like crazier the deeper I go into it, that the reason why Shady Penguin isn't casting for Pokemon anymore is because they don't like that there were fan games on his channel, but then they don't really do much to stop it. Like, Pokemon Company has acknowledged Shady Penguin, but they didn't say, alright, delete everything or we're shutting your channel down. Pokemon Company isn't that harsh. Nintendo, they've gotten better over the years about stuff like this, so that's what makes it a little more interesting, because they'll allow fan games. They'll allow you to play, record fan games. They'll allow you to use ROMs and modified software, but they are strictly against it at the same time. Like, by hiring on YouTubers, by hiring on content creators from the Pokemon Company, they see that there is enough of a demand there, but I'm wondering if that's, like, mostly on the American side of things, you know? We have outside of Japan, where this is more of a relaxed kind of thing. Maybe inside of Japan, maybe Game Freak, they're really adamant against bastardizing the game in the ways that these modifications do to their game. You know, it's harder to see how the developers would kind of take this. Sometimes developers embrace mods, other times they just shun them like, no, this goes against our vision of what this game is supposed to be. So that kind of makes things awkward. Also, we know, like, you know, the Pokemon Uranium shut down. Any of the other fan games, that could be an issue. Pixelmon mod just got shut down by the Pokemon Company as well. We're not as clear as to why, but you know, it's just one of those things that we have all of these crazy Pokemon experiences, but they're unofficial, and the Pokemon Company doesn't like anything being unofficial. Nintendo really doesn't like it. And Shady Penguin, he also said he wasn't sure if the Pokemon Company was also talking about like the egg locks and the randomizers and the things that go against their terms of service, but if it was, then that means he loses most of the content on his channel, which is a pretty bad thing. And this was over a year ago, so it's just been more randomizers, more locks, more craziness from there. So I really don't think there's much else to say about it. There's a lot of upside. There is some downside, but I don't know if the fans are going to understand that downside. You know, from what I've seen, people are just saying, Nintendo's just shutting down all those fan games. Nintendo sucks. The Pokemon Company sucks. But there's a lot of legal reasons as to why they do that. But that does give them more reason as to why they would want to do something legit. We don't have anything legit for that, so then that I don't even know. So comment down below all kinds of things. Are you one of those random people that actually hates randomizers? Is there more people that I think that don't like randomizers? Do you really want something like this? Have you had this thought before? Did you never think about it, but now it's like the greatest idea ever? Also, what other features need to be put in future Pokemon games? I'm 100% on no lines mod. However, I honestly could not care less if there is a set difficulty or not. Playing the Pokemon game is not about the difficulty in the story. However, as we've seen with Let's Players and the rise of Pokemon ROMs and ROM hacks, people do just play the game for the replay value and play the game for the just game value itself instead of taking it to that next level of competitive, which is kind of what Pokemon has become, is that you play it more to get access to all the late game stuff, and then you can battle your friends at the highest tier. But now some people just play it as like a single player gaming experience, like you see with all of these ROMs and stuff like that. So there we go, guys. Crazy little discussion. I don't know if it made sense. I don't know if you guys liked it or not, but there we go. Hope you all enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.